What's up, YouTube? Winterguard here. Today we're going to do what I've been kind of putting off because of equipment issues and just the lack of items in the first 150 runs I did, and that's Travincal. I did another 100 run, so in actuality this is going to be 250 runs of Travincal. I debated putting this video out. To be perfectly honest, I still didn't get much of anything in the next 100, so not even a Trang armor, so we know it's bad. But that aside, it's just one of those things. I debated putting this out, but sometimes you just got to show that runs just don't go well sometimes. Uh, I did get a couple items. I'm going to just kind of get into the numbers at the end of this, just to kind of show you that the effect RNG has, and just sometimes the dice don't go your way, and you don't get the GG item, so to speak. So we're going to go ahead and show what few items I did get. Then I'm going to kind of crunch the numbers. I'm going to start doing this just in general for any loot runs that I do, as far as number of items that drop, number of charms, number of runes, that sort of thing, because they all kind of come into play. And sometimes you just run a handful of runs and you just get great drops right out of the gate, and sometimes like you do 250 Travincal runs like I did and you get hardly anything. So we'll show you just a little bit of the results I got. I'm going to get into the spec as well for Travincal. Now, just in general, I mean, you guys have all done Travincal at some point because you got to do it to get through the game. It is very heavily fire resistant necessary. So out of my setup, I only have 35%, and I was able to actually tank the Hydras fairly well, considering I didn't switch out for like a Dwarf Star, which I could have done to get some fire absorb in. My Merc could tank it fairly well, depending on whatever debuffs the council gave. Sometimes you had to dance around a little bit depending on that. But I mean, you don't have to have 75. It makes it really simple and quick. If you had 75 fire resist, you could probably just do sub 1 minute runs just constantly. I was able to get in pretty fast runs, but I had to dance around a little bit, and I did a little bit of changing in spec. I went into this with my hybrid build, which is a Frozen Orb Firewall. That's not going to help you a whole lot here. Frozen Orb, of course, you can kill the council members, except for the cold fire immune bosses that spawn. But for the most part, Firewall is useless. So halfway through, I switched to Blizz. And Blizzard is just easier to do Travincal in general. So the last 50 runs went extremely quick. Not to say that it was a slow, painful task at the beginning, but I only could utilize half of my spells, so it was kind of pointless to go in there with a firewall build. So we switched to Blizzard. Look at my gear real quick just to show you. We got the Hodo, and that's I got 40 resist Hodo, so that's very helpful. I got a 30 resist Viper, and then you get to resist from here, but you don't get with Spirit, you don't get fire resist. Just keep that in mind. Mana's not going to be that much of an issue. If you have something to switch here, that'll probably help you out if you're hurting on resist and you're running a Spirit. Got the Shaco, Trex. You might switch these out for altar boots, which are great with the fire resist, a rack, and 2 Nagels. So I basically went in there with mostly a Magic Find setup. You can play around with this if you're lacking in some fire resist. Like I said, you can switch if you're not running them. You can run altar boots here, which I think, I don't remember, it's 40 or 50% fire resist just on those. You can switch out a ring for a Dwarf Star. Should be readily available. That'll give you some fire absorb, which actually helps a lot as well. Your Merc can get ganked pretty quick if you have a lower resist R of some sort from one of the bosses. There's multiple things that can make it a little bit more difficult than it can be sometimes. Sometimes you just go in and just blow them up quick. Again, I mean, it's easily run with the Sork. Like I said, you'll need a little bit of gear to do this. Hammerdins will wreck this place. Pit Zerkers actually do well here. Um, I don't play. I would imagine traps. Trapson will probably do well as well because of the. I don't remember. I think one set of the ads might have light resist. I think it's one's fire resist and one's light resist. So that might give you some difficulty. So I mean, it's not my favorite place to farm. It's a great place for runes. I prefer, if I'm going to do runes, is to go to Cows or Arcane Sanctuary, or even Chaos Sanctuary. Is great for runes. So it's one of them things. If you're hunting gold, this is amazing place for it. Put on, as well as the Fire Absorb from Dwarf Star, it has gold percentage drops. So that's you could put 2 of those on and just go in here, just farm gold for gambling. But yeah, not my favorite. I do not do that well here, as I've said, at 250 runs, and I think I've gotten a couple skillers out of the first 150, and you'll see what I get here. But then we'll crunch the numbers a little bit and look at the item counts that I got. So we'll leave it at that and get into the runs. If you enjoy the video, give me a like and subscribe. Join the Discord for community if you're just looking to play with people or trade. We have 200 plus members that are in the group, and there's always a lot of active people on, so make sure to join us there. But let's get into the runs, and then we'll do a quick recap. Okay, we're in the run 59. Yes, that's how long it took to actually get a useful item to drop. As you see, I get a Verdungos, which is a decent melee belt. Okay, this is run 69, and as you see up there, we have the unique wire fleece. Mainly, I just like to check these at this point just to see if we get like a ethereal one, but you know, it's just a regular one. But I'll go ahead and show it. Okay, this is run 78. I've already killed everything, and as you see here, we have actually a couple items. Unique russet armor, which is actually Skulders. This is actually my first Skulders drop, surprisingly. This is actually a really good Magic Find chest, but for whatever reason, this hasn't dropped for me. It does have plus skills also, so it's this is a great item if you're not needing resist for a Magic Find or cast rate. Okay, as you saw, not a whole lot there. We got a couple of items. I wouldn't even necessarily say at this point that they were very good. I mean, at this point, Gladbanes are all over the place. We're kind of at a point in the game where people at this point are mainly just hunting runes for the high-end rune words, or they're just maybe hunting keys to get the torches. I mean, we're kind of at a lull. Items, if people are hunting items, they're just looking for Grail at this point. Perfect items, getting stuff for alts, just running different characters, maybe leveling them back up. But we're kind of in a spot where they need to do something as far as potentially getting ladder out soon. I haven't seen any mention from Blizzard as to a timeline on that, so if they don't do something soon, you're probably going to see a drop off in players, and then when ladder drops, people will come back. But I haven't seen a whole lot of advancement as far as the rectifying the server issues. We're still getting the occasional crashes. There's queues are still in place, game throttling still in place. So the game's not in a great spot. I mean, I'll continue to play it. I just enjoy the game. But people are just going to get bored at this point. How many Shakos and you know, Akis or whatever else can you collect at this point? it just gets a little bit repetitive. So they need to do something as far as an update, announce at least a time for ladder, but that's neither here nor there. We'll maybe do a separate video on that. As far as items, this was kind of surprising. Scolder's pretty common drop for most people. It's the first one I've actually gotten. This is a great chess piece for Magic Find where you don't really need resists. I mean, if you look at it, the FCR can be a problem if you can make it up somewhere else. Because I mean, if you think about it, you could probably pick up some FCR here on gloves if you're running chances. Because the difference between the Magic Find from the chance and the Scolders, you pick up 60ish more Magic Find if you swap gloves out for some FCR, something along those lines, and maybe even some ring changes. You can pick up FCR on rings. There's a multitude of ways to switch this out. The Viper's nice for the resists, but if you're running a place that's not really necessary for resistance, I'd switch it out for the Scolders. Like I'd probably run Scolders for Meth if I could work out the FCR difference to make sure I'm above 105. So it's actually a pretty decent item for Magic Finding just in general. We did get, what else was it? The Gladbane. I just picked that up just for the heck of it. It's a good mark armor if you don't have anything really that decent. I'd probably still run Treachery over Gladbane. But and then we got the Verdungos, which that's always a good all-around belt for the damage reduction. So that's good, a barb or a pally belt. So that's pretty much it. Again, it's not my favorite place, so I probably won't run it that much. I've seen a lot of people have some really good luck here with rune drops. Let's look at the numbers real quick, and I'll put them up on the screen. As far as total set or unique items out of 100 runs, I got 38, which is a decent percentage considering we're not doing boss drops, which will spike that number a little bit. We're just doing basically boss packs, even though they're all right there together. It's just a mix of 3 boss packs. So for that, the item count was actually pretty good. We did get 26 charms, all different ones, from small to grand, and 13 runes. The thing to think about there with 13 rune drops is that everyone that drops has a potential chance to roll a high rune. It starts at the top and works its way down till the roll is successful. Say, for instance, hypothetical numbers, it starts at the highest rune, and it has a 1 in 100 chance of being that rune. If it doesn't roll the 1, it goes to the next one down, and maybe that one's 2 out of 100, and so on and so forth till it gets a successful roll. So each time a rune drops, it had a chance to drop a high rune. It just didn't roll successfully. So the RNG plays a big part of that. You can affect it as far as with gear. You just got to take your chances. But the more times a rune drops, the more times you have a chance that it becomes a high rune. So in this case, I didn't get anything that high. I think the highest was maybe a hell rune. But that's because that's where the dice roll was successful on its way down the list. So 13 out of 100 runs, a little more than 1 out of 10. That's actually not that bad. I just didn't get good rolls. And same thing with the charms. I had multiple chances to get a decent skiller of some sort out of a grand charm or a 7% magic out of a small. The RNG just didn't go my way that time. So I mean, that's just how it works. You might go in here the next 100 runs and one of those rune rolls actually hits like a Vex or higher. Jaw can drop here. You can get just about anything. It's just a matter of you hit the dice roll, and you can't affect that dice roll. All you can do is make sure that you have more rolls of the dice, which means more runs. So I mean, that's the name of the game. It's RNG. As far as sets and uniques, you can affect that. As far as the quality of the item, every time a base drops, you get Magic Find plays a role in that, determines whether it's going to be unique or set or rare or blue or just a white item. So the more Magic Find you have, the more chance that it can drop one of those higher, or it could actually be a successful roll at one of the higher levels, like a unique or set. And sometimes you drop a base and it will roll unique, but that base doesn't have an actual unique in the game. So that number 38 out of 100 was potentially even higher. I wouldn't say a lot higher. It could have been, 42, 43 actual uniques or sets out of 100. It's just that that base doesn't have a unique. So you got a successful roll. It just the item wasn't available, so it goes down to the next one. Normally, what happens is if it rolls successful, but that unique or set doesn't exist, it'll take a rare and like triple the durability or something. So you could technically see if the roll was successful if you were really wanting to crunch the numbers. I don't think it's really that necessary. I just gave a base figure. It was probably a little higher than that. But I mean, that's what it is. That's the name of the game. It's all about the hunt. The more times you kill things, the more chances you have of rolling the dice. So we'll leave it at that. You guys have a great day. Keep on farming.